Barakim Habarim. Welcome to Messianic Moment Ministries. I'm Stephen Bruck. You know who you are. Today is the 21st day of March, spring. And we're talking today about Purim, which starts after Shabbat this weekend. And in the book of Esther, or the Megillah of Esther, actually her name is Hadassah, but whatever. There are two very important messages in that Megillah. One has to do with the fact that even if Esther didn't ask the king for protection, it would come from some other source, which is really the only real indication of God's presence in the entire book, because if you don't know it, God's name is not mentioned in that book. The only one in the Bible, God's not mentioned. And the second thing is that Esther was where she was for such a time as this. Time out for administrative stuff. Don't forget, subscribe on the website. There's a subscribe button, and also here on YouTube. Subscribe to both places, please. They're different lists, and one of these icons around here does it. And when you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you click the notifications, click the bell so you're notified every time I post a new message. I also have a Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, who isn't? And that discussion group is called Just God's Word, and I invite you all to join. But please click that you agree to the rules, or I can't let you in. I can't post your message. You got to agree. And also, if you like what you get here, you will like my books. There are links to it on my website, messianicmoment.com. There are links also if you go to amazon.com and just in the search put Stephen R. Bruck, it's a V, S-T-E-V, you'll see the books there. And one last thing, please share these messages with everyone you know, whether they're a believer or not. Who cares? If they're Jewish especially. But please help this ministry to continue to grow. All right, enough administrative direct. Now let's go on to the important stuff. Now, I say we're all like Esther, but I'm not implying that we are all beautiful or raised by our uncle or even Jewish. Although Esther was all those things, the most important thing that she was, if we go by Mordecai's statement, was that she was where she was when she was. I believe that we all are here for a reason, and that God has some plan for each of us. Shaul, you might know him as Paul, taught this lesson, well, in a way, when he wrote to the Roman believers, this is Romans 9:19, and explained that God, like a potter, can make some vessels for holy use and others for common use. In either case, isn't it true that God is using us for some purpose he has in mind? I am sure God's purpose for me, well, is to run this ministry. All the things that have happened to me, or haven't happened to me, all the good and certainly all the bad, have led me down a path that has placed me right where I am now. Not so much where I'm living, or in this marriage, for which I thank God every day, really, but where I am spiritually. So, have you thought about what God's purpose for you is? Or is for you? I shouldn't do that. It's a preposition at the end. It's wrong. It is very likely that you haven't come to it yet, or that you are doing it right now. I also believe that when wonderful people die too young, it's because they've done what God had put them here to do. So he's taking them to the reward. Wait a minute. Now that I think about it, that's kind of scary thought. What if I've done all God wanted me to do? Does that mean I'm going to die soon? Maybe another message for another time. In any event, if you aren't sure what God wants you to do, what purpose he has for creating you, don't lose any sleep over it, even if you're an old person like me. Remember that God didn't use Moses until he was 80 years old. My recommendation, with which I will end today's message, is that if you aren't sure why God put you here, then do as God has said he wants us all to do, which he spelled out in the Torah. And I say this because I truly and faithfully believe that when you live your life to please God by doing as he has said to do, then his purpose for your life will become clear to you. Well, that's it for this week. So, the Yitrot. I wish you an early Shabbat Shalom and Hag Sameach, which means happy holiday, because Purim starts right after Shabbat.